Hey, Democrats, I know you guys think you've done your big one by shutting down the Department of Homeland Security because you delusionally think that the Department of Homeland Security and ICE agents are just out there terrorizing innocent communities, which is kind of crazy when you consider the fact that Minnesota has now agreed to just work with ICE and turn over the illegal immigrants at the jail instead of releasing them out into the streets among the populace. But either way, you're gonna want to go ahead and refund DHS. See, not only is it spring break season for basically all of America, and the lines at TSA are hours long, which is pissing everyone off, but also we recently found out that there are sleeper cells here in America that are for the Iranian regime, and you'll never believe what department is responsible for getting out the sleeper cells of terrorism. Did you say the Department of Homeland Security? Because if you did, you would be correct. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as well as Border Patrol, are both responsible for hunting down the people that would like to harm us here on American soil. Additionally, a large part of their job is to find trafficked children, and as we know, that's not really something you guys care about, but it is something that we deeply care about. So whatever it is we need to do to get you guys some SSRIs or whatever you take for your Trump derangement syndrome, let's get that back up and going so we can open up these TSA lanes and get the bad people out of our country. Thank you.
These Democrats got me so pissed. I don't even fucking want no popcorn.
The Democrats still refuse to vote to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless we fund and protect the sanctuary cities.
Meanwhile, ICE, who you're originally mad at, continues to get funding because it's funded under the big, beautiful bill. But because of your evil, you're willing to still let our troops and everybody working with our troops to keep our safety unpaid and disrespected? Motherfuckers.
Moments ago, we learned that the United States, specifically the U.S. Air Force, has lost an aircraft over Iraq. Now, what we know from U.S. Central Command Center is that this aircraft was a refueling plane and it collided with another aircraft. That second aircraft did land safely. Unfortunately, the U.S. Air Force refueling plane has gone down again in Iraq, and there are currently recovery operations underway.
Praying for the fallen soldiers and their family.
This comes on the heels of 2 suspected terror attacks right here in our homeland today.
People are scared of this, but they keep forgetting that Biden had open borders for 4 years, and they literally flew the worst of the worst into our country. They had programs for it.
You know, in Michigan today, an individual who happens to be from Dearborn, Michigan, chose to run his vehicle into a Jewish synagogue. Fortunately, he only injured 1 individual outside of himself.
All right, y'all already know to be careful. We on safety alert right now.
Operation Epic Fury was supposed to be economically and politically disastrous for President Trump and backfire against him. But the president was ready. First, he announced that the Development Finance Corporation would step in with political risk insurance. Lloyd's had pulled coverage. Washington replaced it within days. Second, he announced the Navy was on notice to protect shipping in the Strait as needed. And third, Trump lifted some sanctions on Russian oil. Not only that, he got on the phone with President Putin to discuss the conflict in Iran.
You know, Daddy Trump always talks about how he talks to Putin, but he don't ever really tell us what they say, right?
Protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully.
And he says he's doing it for China and the rest of the world. No wonder heads are exploding in think tanks in London and Washington.
And the one thing I can't stand about this whole situation is Americans believe in the Iranian media. Okay, not even the people on the ground, but the Iranian media. Can I just remind y'all, they watch our news like we watch their news, okay? So ain't nobody about to tell you what they really fucking doing. These people are just making my freaking brain hurt, you know? I love y'all though.
Yesterday, Republicans in the state of Texas began to fully blame Democrats for the ongoing partial government shutdown that is keeping everybody but federal law enforcement officers assigned to the Department of Homeland Security from being paid. If you work at the Department of Homeland Security and you're not a federal officer, you know you're not being paid right now. But in Texas, specifically Houston, There were lines 4 and 5 hours long to clear TSA security. Even in Atlanta, where usually security goes fairly quick here for me, I heard of lines up to 2 hours, and these weren't isolated incidents. Republicans across the country are now being called by their constituents as spring break is beginning that they're missing flights because they show up to the airport 90 minutes or 2 hours prior and they're stuck in a security line for 3 or 4 hours. And the airlines won't rebook you because you missed a flight. In that instance, that's on you for not planning accordingly. So Republicans are saying that Democrats are to blame. Democrats are causing all of this. But let me remind you that Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and Democrats have put forth a bill that will fund DHS in its entirety, just not fund anything related to ICE or Customs Border Protection and the immigration efforts. So, who is really to blame for the shutdown? I don't believe it's Democrats.
Air pressure is mounting on Capitol Hill as Department of Homeland Security edge closer to partial shutdown. We are seeing early sign that operation impact tonight, with a report indicating significant uptick in some employee calling out of work. Funding remain in limbo. Republicans who has been central to the budget negotiation are facing increased internal and external heat as the deadline looms. Before we continue, I want to give a credit to all original creator of TikTok clips used in this video. All clips belong to their respective creator and are used here for commentary, news report, and education purpose only.
I'm gonna be honest, the more often that we have these shutdowns, the easier it will become for the government to say that the workers are unreliable. And when you're unreliable, they replace you with AI. It's not that hard for them. They're already using AI to make decisions in a war that we're in. You don't think that they'll replace these TSA workers with AI to decide who goes through security and who doesn't? Listen to me, if you don't know what's going on right now, the DHS is having a little problem with the funding. They can't figure it out. So they're not getting funded right now. And TSA is being affected by this. Over 50,000 TSA workers are not being paid, or they're being underpaid, which is leading them to being understaffed. People are calling out, which is leaving the airports to look like this. If you haven't been to the airport, I just came from it. It looks crazy. Security is outside of the door. The security lines are going down the block of the airport. And I don't know about y'all, but we are at war right now. And I don't think this is the time for us to not be funding TSA. Okay? And I think that is another reason why they'll say, hey, maybe we need to find a easier, more efficient way to do this. And start replacing these TSA workers with AI. On top of the fact that they've been partnering with all type of AI companies, I'm gonna show you what to look out for. You see, it starts off with a government shutdown. The people not getting paid, so they don't show up to work, which makes sense. But to the government, they're gonna make it seem like y'all not patriotic enough. Y'all not here for the American people. Y'all here for a paycheck. Remember the last time we had a government shutdown and TSA was affected? They gave extra bonus paychecks to those who stayed around and didn't get paid to show their appreciation. Next thing you know, we're gonna have delays at the airport, flights being canceled or delayed, security not being there, lines being around the door, and then a tragedy happens. Something big happens and the government goes, hey, we need to find a better way to keep the American people safe. We need to find a better way, a more efficient way to do this. And how do they do that? They expand on tech. And listen, this isn't new. We got AI luggage scanners from companies like Lados. We got facial recognition from companies like Clear. We got behavior pattern recognition from AI from companies like Palantir. This isn't new stuff. They're just going to expand on it. And they're going to use these shutdowns and these workers being unreliable as a reason to replace them. Remember at one point, you had to go through the toll booth and there was a person there. Now it's all AI and pictures. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day. You know I love you and I'll see you tomorrow. But if I don't, stay out of trouble.
We have some big news right now. Another major corruption scheme has been possibly exposed in the Trump administration, this time by NBC News, which is now reporting that Corey Lewandowski, Kristi Noem's senior advisor in the Department of Homeland Security, well, some DHS contractors told the White House that essentially they were asked to pay Corey Lewandowski a so-called, quote, success fee for government contracts. That is a massive allegation and arguably a crime. One of the companies is the Geo Group. And according to this reporting, during the Trump transition period, Lewandowski told the head of the Geo Group that he wanted to be paid in exchange for protecting and growing the Geo Group's DHS contracts. Now, Lewandowski is a special government employee who's not allowed to be paid. Getting these so-called success fees would be a major violation of the law. Lewandowski himself denies it, but there are a lot of inquiries regarding the contracting process at DHS and who, if anyone, personally profited from it. And if Lewandowski personally profited for it, he could be under serious issues. Spread the word, follow for more.
I do have to ask you just finally about this partial government shutdown, DHS not being funded for a month now. Just this week, we saw terror attacks in West Bloomfield, Michigan, in Norfolk, Virginia. This morning, the CEOs of the nation's major airlines and cargo carriers have written a letter to Congress calling for them to end the shutdown, talking about the importance of American security in the airways. Is it responsible for Democrats to hold up DHS funding with the threat of terror attacks looming during this conflict?
No, Kristen, as you know, we offered vote after vote, resolution after resolution, even as recently as this week, to reopen those agencies, to fund them, and the Republicans voted it down.
All right, so first off, the answer to her question, no, that is not responsible. Second off, Democrats have tried to fund specific agencies within DHS, but not all of DHS. And the reason they're doing this, in my opinion, is for political power. And they're risking our lives to try to maintain the political power that they have when it comes to illegal immigration. Jeffrey, what do you mean? Well, right now, Democrats have a list of demands, and this is for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. Some of those things being, for example, they need to wear an ID and identify themselves if people ask, with a last name and like an ID number. They cannot wear masks. So let's talk about what those two things alone do. Because there are Democrats who are trying to dox ICE agents all around the country. ICE agents are getting threats, their families are getting threats. Attacks on ICE agents and Border Patrol agents are up in the hundreds of %. Democrats are also demanding judicial warrants in order to go remove illegal aliens from their home compared to administrative warrants. This would slow down the process of removing illegal aliens from the country. If agents can't wear masks and they have to have their last names, what does this do? It makes it easier for people to dox these people, threaten them, and get leverage over them to try to get them to stop doing what they're doing when it comes to enforcing our immigration laws. It also can deter people from joining ICE or Border Patrol if they know they're going to be doxxed and people can see their face easily. Democrats are working to make it as easy as possible to dox these agents while having plausible deniability, all with the goal of slowing down immigration enforcement. Because again, Americans are leaving blue states and they're going to red states. This will harm Democrats in the 2030 census. So they will have less members in the House. They will also have less electoral votes. And the way they can offset that is with immigration, legal or illegal. So they're trying to do everything they can to slow down the removal of all these illegal aliens from their states. So anyway, that's all I've got for now. Don't forget I have a free email newsletter. Best place to get information from me. The link to that is in my profile.
What's crazy is I get on TikTok and I see video after video of people complaining about TSA wait times. In Houston, in Atlanta, it's like you get here 4 hours ahead, do this, do that, whatever. And y'all like, oh, the TSA must have quit or y'all ain't treating them right or not. We haven't gotten paid in 29 days. Tomorrow will make 30 days. We have not gotten paid. Nobody has hit. We don't have any money. And y'all expect us to move as quickly as possible to help y'all get through to y'all flight so y'all can do what y'all want to do when we can't even afford a flight. We can't afford food. We can't afford rent. We can't afford a mortgage. We can't afford a car payment. We can't afford shit. Nigga, I'm at Family Dollar. Bitch, I work for the government. And I'm at Family Dollar.
How is it possible that these Democrat politicians can fix their face after we have had 2 terrorist attacks and they don't want to fund DHS because they got a problem with ICE? Bullshit. They don't want to fund DHS because they don't want people working, because they want to squeeze people, just like AOC said. The next time we do the shutdown, you got to make it hurt worse. That's why they went after TSA. It's not by accident that they're lumped up together. They did it on purpose. These politicians should not be able to dictate when other government employees can get paid because we already gave up our taxes for them to be paid. If they're not going to release the funds, then they should give up their paychecks at the same time.
Senate Democrats unleashed chaos.
The White House and congressional leader remain at the stalemate, but with the airport where time expected rise, the window for deal is closing fast. We will continue monitor the negotiation and we will bring you update as they develop. If you're new here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, don't forget to leave a comment. And for the returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Really, we appreciate. See you next in another episode.